Okay, so Project Veritas is starting to get desperate. They're down over 300,000 followers on Twitter. They're losing subscribers on YouTube. And most importantly, people are asking for their money back, or they're not, or they're threatening to stop donating. So Project Veritas is starting to freak out. And this is all since the video leaked or was released by James O'Keefe saying that he's leaving that he's taking his stuff uh, and going to play somewhere else, basically. So he said that. Project Veritas wants you to know, no, James O'Keefe hasn't even left yet. Like he hasn't even resigned. So this is an email that was published by the Post Millennial, an email that went out to donors. Maybe it's donors who asked for their money back or who said that they weren't going to donate anymore. So, and it shows the desperation coming from Project Veritas. They didn't, there are conspiracy theories about it. A lot of people think that it had to do with the Pfizer coverage. As far as Project Veritas says, it didn't have to do with the Pfizer coverage. It mostly had to do with James firing a guy, the CFO, because they had some kind of a disagreement about fundraising, which happened after the Pfizer thing. And then apparently, James doesn't have his personality, sometimes conflicts, and they've had to fire a lot of people over the years. That's the other thing they say. So I'll read this email so you guys are up to date on what's going on with these guys. The subject of the email is "We hold everyone accountable, especially ourselves. Dear donor, we understand and share your frustrations. We all love and respect James and hope he returns. This is difficult for everyone." Okay, so they hope he returns. They're trying to keep him, and they thought for a second that they could get rid of him and run the company and everything would be fine. But then everybody started telling him that wasn't going to work out. I'll show you the comments under the latest videos. An independent two-dimensional audit is being arranged to examine all of the issues, including those outlined below. 1, breaking the bylaws of the organization by unilaterally dismissing the CFO and co-opting another board member's vote by saying that board members supported the dismissal. They did not. Okay. So James O'Keefe talked about this a few days after the Pfizer video came out. The CFO said that he disagreed with James O'Keefe about how they were doing fundraising. James O'Keefe thought they disagreed in such a fundamental way that the CFO wasn't right with the vision for the company that James had. So James asked him to resign and then publicly fired him in front of other people. Well, apparently he wasn't allowed to do that according to the rules, bylaws of this organization. He said apparently that he had somebody else's support to do it, and apparently he didn't. That's the story. And James told it. He said he fired the guy. And PV says he wasn't allowed to. So that's the biggest sticking point for these guys as far as the mainstream argument, right? Assuming it's not Pfizer related. Number 2, private inurement fiduciary responsibility, using donations for private benefit. The board included in its statement what it is aware of so far, which clearly warrants this internal audit to ensure your hard-earned and graciously donated money is utilized appropriately. We hope to know more details around this soon. And that's a private jet a couple times, once maybe to meet somebody to fix his boat, they said, which he claimed was for donors, using black cars, like town cars, to travel around. Lots of expenses, apparently, as far as his travel goes, which you could really overlook, right? Because he's James O'Keefe and everybody's donating their money because of James O'Keefe. If he wants to go around in a black car with all the money they're bringing in, I suggest it's something that could possibly have been overlooked or dealt with maybe in a different way. They thought they knew better. Number 3, Concern with employment laws, workplace safety, regarding appropriate treatment of the employees was based in part on his interaction with senior staff in a leadership call on January 31st, 2023. Staff across multiple departments were ready to leave PV immediately if his conduct remained unaddressed. So this is something that James also discussed where he said he wanted to apologize for his behavior. It must have been for whatever he did at this meeting. So he might be abrasive, right? I think people could suspect that that's possible. They say people were ready to quit because he was such a jerk, but apparently it seems like he apologized because he said, at least in his presentation, that he apologized for his behavior. Project Veritas has had 140 employees leave the company over the last 7 years, some through their own volition, others were terminated, and the organization has incurred legal expenditures because of some of these terminations actions. 20 of the 140 employees were in management positions, leading to potential succession plan issues to assure the long-term viability of the company. Okay. High turnover because he's a demanding boss. This is our interpretation. He's a demanding boss, fires people quickly if they're not in tune with the mission as far as he's determined, or people quit because they can't stand working for him. High turnover. Okay. So they had a problem with that. James's removal, okay, here we go, was not a removal. This is the part where James still works for Project Veritas. He hasn't even left. He specifically said he did not resign and the board did not fire him. The board placed him on a temporary suspension until the audit was completed. The board wanted him to delegate management of staff to the department heads so he can focus his true talent efforts and best use of his time on the journalism stories and less on the day-to-day personnel management. He has been invited, but has chosen not to engage in conversations with the board and management following steps taken so far with the goal of returning to Project Veritas. Instead, he requested no change in authority and that most of the officers and all of the board of directors immediately resign. So the story they're telling is that they want James to stay. He hasn't left. And actually, James is demanding that everybody be fired, the entire board of directors, for him to continue with the company. So that's their side of the story. For what it's worth, there are 60 plus of us here at PV who remain passionately dedicated to James's mission. It is what brought us all together. While we cannot control online narratives, and unfortunately cannot chime in to individually defend ourselves in the public sphere at present, we can assure you we remain steadfast and determined to expose corruption. The mission and our work continue. We just released the following this afternoon, and they released a video. We hope that you might continue to give us a chance. We can't stress how separate the board's role is from daily operations here at PV. We are still grinding and pursuing stories of great public importance. In either case, thank you so much for your support in the past, and we hope we might regain your trust if you'll give us a chance. So you can see they're groveling, right? They're trying to say, I don't know if you call it gaslighting, I'm not sure, that James hasn't even left. They're trying to work it out with James. We love James, but there was a point when they thought they could get away with getting rid of him. And they pulled this coup. Because some people on the board don't like James O'Keefe. Seems like they thought they could do it without him. Well, can they do it without him? They uploaded a few videos. I just watched one of them. It was pretty good expose, actually. This undercover video thing, theoretically, they can do and expose things still. But without James, people, it's just not going to have the same impact. People want James back. I'll show you the comments under the latest video that they shared in their email. They said, oh, we released this video. Top comment with 607 likes says, I feel for all the journalists who worked so hard for PV and now the board has just completely screwed them by ousting James. Number 2 comment, 394 likes. Bring back James. We're here because of him and for him. Third comment, 193 likes. Guys, it's really not the same without James supporting the videos. Feels more like a betrayal. I would like to see it the same as it was done before. Consider getting him back on board. Okay, so this is what people are saying out in the public. They did put out another video. It has to do with gender stuff in schools. Just came out. Just watched it. And it shows, stuff that should be exposed. But it doesn't have James doing the voiceover. And it's not the same. It's not the same. However, undercover journalism, there's room for more people to do undercover journalism, but they're finding out when you have a personality behind your company and like everybody thinks about your company based on a personality, and that's James O'Keefe. Even if he's a little bit of a jerk, you got to figure out how to deal with it in a different way. And they're learning that. So just thought I'd give you the update. That's their email. That's what they're sending out to donors. So we'll see if they can get James O'Keefe to come back. They want him to, because they want the dollars that come with him. So that's it. Thanks, everybody. If you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, drop a coffee, or check out our t-shirts at truthclothing.io. And we'll pack and ship those right out to you. So, all right, subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell. And we'll see you at the next one. For now, that's what it is.